Amy Miller is a Dallas radio DJ on KXT, working in artist management and the music industry while supporting local talent.
I'm Andrew Sherman. I'm a Texas transplant who has always been in pursuit of art as a career. I've played in bands, pursued an acting career in Hollywood, but I found it behind the lens of a camera here in Dallas, Texas. I was born in New York. I've lived in Chicago, Los Angeles, Austin, but I love Dallas. There's a magical artistic scene in Dallas that mostly goes unnoticed to the outside world. This podcast is focused on what makes it so special and the people who make it thrive artistically. If you don't live here, and even if you do, you might not have heard of them. This is the Dallas Famous Podcast. So who you gonna be? Who you gonna be when you're all grown up?
This week on the Dallas Famous Podcast, we're excited to have Amy Miller, a seasoned radio professional, musician, and artist manager with a truly diverse background. Originally from the San Francisco Bay Area, Amy's journey has taken her across the country, from studying classical piano and composition in Santa Cruz to playing in bands on the East Coast, touring, and then shifting gears into radio and music publicity. She's worked in small markets, helped launch radio stations, and spent years as program director in Dallas at KXT, all while nurturing her passion for music. Amy's deeply connected to the local music scene here in Dallas, and she's witnessed firsthand the vibrant talent and supportive community that makes Dallas a unique hub for musicians. Stay tuned for an inspiring and fun conversation with a true music lover and industry insider. Here it is. The Dallas Famous Podcast is supported by the Mullen & Mullen Music Project. The Music Project was created by Mullen & Mullen Injury Law Firm to champion the independent music scene in North Texas. Hello, we are back at the Deep Ellum Community Center, Dallas Famous Podcast. I've got Amy Miller, probably best known in Dallas for KXT, but it was cool getting to know you through my research because I didn't even know you were a musician first.
Oh, yeah. That was a large part of my life, like in my 20s. And
you're still in the band, though, right?
No, I mean, no, I'm not. I still write and I still play, but it's mostly just at home for my own gratification.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we'll start at the beginning. You're not from Dallas. Where are you from originally?
I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area originally.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, so that's why you're so cool. That's excellent. Okay.
Yeah, and I kind of made my way around the States before landing in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And well, we'll get to that. But let's start. When did you first find music? When did music first become something more than just in the background for you?
Probably when I was a really little kid. I had a childhood friend, and they had a piano in their house, and she was taking piano lessons at the time, and she taught me a piece she was learning, and I thought it was so cool. And then I would play it every time I went over there, and then I eventually started taking music lessons, and then that continued literally through college. I was a music major.
Okay.
I was classical piano and composition. And then, as a teenager, though, I was super into rock music. I was the kid with all posters all over my bedroom. You couldn't even see the walls. 6-foot Jimi Hendrix poster, Rolling Stone covers everywhere. And I started playing guitar when I was maybe 15. And and then after I graduated college, I picked up the guitar again. And when I moved to the East Coast, I started playing in some bands and did that for a while.
Oh, you didn't do bands until you got out of...
I played here and there with friends, but I never really had a band that I was pursuing, 100% pursuing until I moved to Virginia. And then I met what would become the singer in my band, and we played in a band for 8 years, really trying to make it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And touring around and stuff?
Yeah, we did some touring. We would do South by Southwest every year. We did a couple tours of the U.S., and then we did a lot of East Coast runs because at that time we moved up to Philly from Virginia, and we're playing in Philly. I lived in Philly for 6 to 7 years and just playing up and down the East Coast. And
were you lead or rhythm? Or?
I did both. Yeah, I did guitar and keys, and then.
What was the name of that band?
We were called Panic Years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so so you were pursuing that. And you said you went to school in Santa Cruz, is that right?
Mm-hmm. UC Santa Cruz.
Okay. And so you were doing classical music and kind of rock, or just focusing on that? Or?
For the most part, I was just doing classical music because anyone who's been a music major knows it can be really intense. I was basically sitting in a practice room for 6 hours a day, practicing by myself, and then would do lessons and then music theory classes and just general music classes. And now on top of that, I was actually a double major. So I was a psychology major as well. So I was like taking classes on top of that. So like, no, not really. I had my guitar in my dorm room and would play every once in a while,
Sure.
but I kind of gave that up for those 4 years.
Did you have time to like go to live shows?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had like friends in bands and stuff, and I would go to shows, and I was working at the college radio station too. So,
Well, how did you end up at the radio station?
literally saw a flyer at a bus shuttle stop on campus, and I was like, loved radio as a kid. Like I was the one that would call into radio stations, try to win free concert tickets for my friends and I.
Right.
Loved radio. I would go to shows and try and get like the DJ's autographs. I just like put them up on a pedestal. And I saw a flyer at a bus stop and started volunteering at the station, and then took the broadcast class they had, got my first radio show, did that, and then from there I started interning at like bigger commercial stations in San Francisco during the summers, and one of those turned into like a part-time job in the programming department, and that was like my first like real radio job.
Okay.
And then it's from there that I moved to Virginia for my first full-time radio job as a music director. I don't know if you're familiar with the musician Bruce Hornsby.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so he was starting a radio station in a small market in Virginia, and so I moved out there to help start that up and be the music director.
Oh.
And I was there for maybe like 3.5 years. And it's there in Virginia that I met my bandmate, and eventually we moved up to Philly to like really pursue being in a band because we're getting a little bit of traction. And
Sure.
I was just like, well, if we're ever going to try and go for this, like, let's do it now. We're still in our 20s.
So was it because Bruce is from the Bay Area and that's how you...
No. So I was working at a station in San Francisco at the time, and the program director knew the guy. He was, if I'm remembering correctly, he was the consultant at one point in his life for the guy that already owned some stations in Massachusetts. And so he was starting this station in Virginia, and I guess was like, do you know anybody who would be interested in moving to this small town and, kind of learning the ropes, and anybody young and eager. And so and I'm so grateful for this. He said, actually, yeah, we have somebody here that's like really wanting to get into it. And the rest is kind of history. I flew out there and interviewed, and I was like, yeah, what else am I doing? I'm working at restaurants and working part-time at a radio station.
Right.
Of course.
Well, so when you were a kid, though, did you want to be a musician? Do you want to be on the radio? Was it kind of a split?
I didn't really think about it. I loved music. I knew that. Yeah. And I mean, I guess I kind of had these dreams of being a rock star,
Sure.
like every kid
Same,
does that's
yeah.
obsessed with music.
Yep.
And it wasn't until I didn't even really think of radio as a profession, I think, until, again, I saw that flyer at the bus stop and I was like, oh, this is something people do.
Right.
I like making mixtapes for my friends. I could do this on the radio. And then once I started doing that, I was like, maybe this is a path I could take.
Huh. Were you on the air yet, or is this more just behind the scenes stuff?
At the college radio station, I was on the air. Yeah, my first radio show was the worst time slot, as everybody starts out. It was Tuesdays from midnight to 4 a.m.
Right.
And it was a jazz show. It was called Jazz 101.
Did you not choose that? They handed you that?
They handed me the time slot, and I chose the show that I wanted.
Okay.
It was Jazz 101, and then I got another show, better time slot, and it was just all new music and indie rock, and that one was called Bands in a Blender, and it was just a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. That's nice. So then, so you go to Virginia, and you're at that point, are you on the air, or are you just kind of learning the ropes?
I was on the air. I was it's a startup station in a small market, so there was a very small handful of us working there. So I was doing kind of a little bit of everything. I was deciding new music to put in. I was importing all the music into the system, because at that point, for the most part, so much had been digitized as far as how radio happens, not people aren't really playing CDs and vinyl like I was doing in college anymore. all imported to the system, so you could have a database of 10,000 songs and with a click of a button play whatever song you want.
Right.
So that was like the first big project, is like figuring out what our database was going to be. And then it was just kind of a little bit of everything, like booking concerts for the station music series. And yes, I had an on-air shift, and just kind of a little bit of everything, which is very common for radio stations, especially small market stations.
Sure.
You'll have somebody that's like the music director or in the program department, but they can also be doing like promotions or whatever else is
It's
needed.
like the editor where you have to fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Basically. So that was going well, but then you wanted to pursue the band. Is that like you kind of took a break from the radio?
Yeah. So while working at the radio station, I knew I just wanted to like play music and be in a band. And I ended up finding my bandmate, and we formed a band in Virginia. We recorded an EP, and then we kind of started getting a little bit of like traction, and people were like, oh, this is, I sent it to like a few like industry friends of mine, and people were like, oh, you guys sound actually like really good. And so the singer and I kind of broke off from the other bandmates, and we decided to move to Philly to like really pursue the music thing. We wanted to be closer to New York.
Sure.
And just like, like you can hit the thing about the East Coast as opposed to Texas is you can hit like DC, Boston, New York, Baltimore, Philly, like all those major cities
Right.
in like a few days if you need. Like it's like
Yeah, it's
an
like
hour or two
bunched
away
together.
from like 10
Yeah.
different big cities. So
Yeah.
it just kind of made sense.
And then, you were like opening, headlining, kind of doing your own DIY thing.
Yeah, we were just like doing our own DIY thing, playing like the local clubs in Philly, and then setting up like, shows in New York when we could, and trying to set up showcases to try and get some bigger things to happen. We would do some touring. Just kind of doing our own thing. And, we got a lot of local recognition and some regional recognition, and we were trying to kind of go bigger and broader than that. I don't know. It was one of those things, like everybody has a story. Like we were always kind of like almost there, and it just never really happened.
Sure.
And then, did it for a number of years. And then I was like, okay, I want a salary and benefits and a consistent paycheck, because it just like, it just got a little tiresome.
I could not imagine even touring with the band, doing what I do. I just can't. It seems like a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And the jobs I had at the time, they were all pretty like lenient, it was like music industry stuff. So they were kind of used to like musicians
Right. Coming and
doing
going.
stuff. Yeah.
And then you're in Philadelphia, and you're kind of, I guess, burning out a little bit. Like, did you go back to radio there, or what was your next move?
So when I was in Philly, I kind of I wanted to like keep my foot in the door with the whole radio world, because especially the format I'm in, it's a very small world. And so there's a station there that's basically the equivalent of KXT in Philly. They had a side station, like a HD2 station, an internet station. So I did like a volunteer radio show there once a week. And then aside from that, I was a music publicist for a jazz PR firm.
Oh, okay.
And so I kind of kept my foot in the door with radio. And then when I realized like, hey, like I want to get a job again, like I think this band has kind of seen its peak, I started applying for radio jobs all over the country, same format stations that I respected, and I just ended up landing in Dallas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I never saw coming. Never thought I would move to Texas,
Yeah.
let alone be here for 10 years, which is...
Yeah. No, it's funny. You're just a little longer than me, and the same. I ended up here kind of like I didn't know that Dallas was cool. And then
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Where are you from?
Well, before this was LA, but I grew up in Indiana, was born in New York. I've been
Okay, cool.
all
So you've been
around
all
here.
over, kind of like me, yeah.
Yeah. But before we get here, so the PR, like, it sounds like you're building these kind of unique skill set in all these different jobs. But okay, whatever. So you get here. What was the job that you landed here?
So I landed the job as the assistant program director at KXT.
Okay.
And then shortly after I started, actually, the program director, who was awesome, I love him, his name was Mark. He ended up leaving like maybe 6 months to a year after I started. Mm-hmm. And then, that opened up the position for the program director job, which I applied for, obviously, and I ended up getting. And so, I was there at KXT for 7-8 years.
How long before you actually got the program director job?
I would say it was like a year. I was in Dallas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you more experienced, or you just were suited for the role?
Yeah, I mean, I think my experience was varied. Like, like as far as like radio gigs go, I started in college. I worked a handful of like internships in San Francisco, which turned into like a programming job, even though it was part-time programming job at a very well-respected station within the format in San Francisco. From there, I moved to Virginia, where I started as music director, got promoted as program director there. And then when I applied for KXT, I think it was just, I think it was just natural. And then also like when the program director left, I was like the interim program director for like 6 months. And so it was kind of like,
okay,
I can do this. Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Yeah,
okay.
I was grateful to get that though.
And when you came as the assistant and then as the program director, were you on the air then too? Mm-hmm. I guess I just didn't think that was normal. I guess that is normal though, huh?
It's pretty normal for people in the programming department, whether they're the program director, assistant program director, or music director. Like usually it comes with some sort of on-air gig too.
Okay. So when I had La Belle on, I asked her if you could play whatever you want on KXT. Is that the case, or is there sort of like a guardrail? Or
yeah, I mean it's a formatted station, so it's the format is called AAA. And then it's like a NPR music affiliate. Mm-hmm. And so we try and like stay within those boundaries. And the way the music is chosen, I mean, there's like a variety of different ways. Now we do like the public music meetings, which are open to people in the public, where a bunch of like clips of new songs are played and people literally hold up like rate cards. Oh. And then we go around and ask everybody's opinion. So we like throw listeners' opinions into the mix. And then the KXT programming staff will have music meetings where they talk about, more new music and what should be added into rotation. And then the specialty shows, like the new music show on Monday nights hosted by Jackson Wisdorf. He chooses all the new music for that. The local music show, which is now hosted by someone named Waffles.
We've had Waffles on.
Oh, great. Yeah, she's awesome. She chooses all the music for that. So it's like a variety of different ways that the music is chosen.
Okay, because I feel like the when you listen to the station, which it's funny, I never listened to. I was just listening to the news radio until the last election, and now I only listen to KXC and Grateful Dead, which has made my life a lot better, I'm going to say. But it's like we can play whatever we want, but then I feel like I hear certain things more than other things,
Yeah, and that's not surprising. And we have features throughout the day too. Law does Homegrown Bites every day at noon, where she chooses 2 back-to-back like local artists to play. And it really depends. And sometimes you might hear at night some music, some songs that you might not hear first thing in the morning, just because kind of people's taste at driving around at 11 o'clock at night or midnight or whatever might be a little different than first waking up at 7 a.m. So
sure. Yeah, no, I just there's certain ones where I really like it, and I'm like trying to get my wife to hear that one song when it comes on. I mean, obviously you go to Spotify, but there's something about, I think it was the Lola Brown song.
Oh yeah.
It was the last one I can think of.
Oh, Lola Young?
Lola Young.
Yeah. Great song. Oh my God.
Yeah, great song.
Hit.
I mean, that's not even new anymore. It's been around for a while, but it's just still in heavy rotation. It feels like, not as heavy. But I was just curious about that, because I know it's not like you're independent, so it's not like you're being told what to play by some corporate.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so then you're doing that for 7 years and 8 years or whatever it is, and then what made you take off?
What made me leave?
Yeah.
Well, now
you're back, right? But there was a time where you were not on.
No, I've always been there. It's just what capacity have I?
Gotcha. Okay.
What role have I been playing? So, in I don't even know what year this was. Probably 2022. I feel like it was after the pandemic, shortly after kind of stuff started opening up after the pandemic. So while I was at KXT, this was, going all the way back to probably 2017, 2018, I discovered this guy named Abraham Alexander. And it was me just sitting at my computer in my office late at night trying to find cool local artists to play. And I came across a video of him playing a song, and I hadn't heard his name before. And I was like, this is incredible. This guy is so talented. Why is nobody talking about this guy? I sent him an email asking if he had any songs that I could play on the air. At the time, he didn't. But we just kind of struck up a conversation and then like a friendship. And when he had like new music, he would play it for me. And then that kind of shifted into like a management role. And when we decided that we were going to, I was going to manage him, it just felt like the right time. Like stuff was starting to happen and it felt like the right time again. I kind of, looking back on my life, am very pro throw all your eggs in one basket. Like if you're going to do something, do it.
Sure.
And so, I decided to leave my full-time job at KXT, go into artist management full-time. We got like a label deal for him, like booking agent, all the pieces started to like come together. And then I stayed at KXT just like as an on-air. Like right now I'm doing like the weekend shifts there, Saturday and Sunday, and then just like a fill-in host. So like this week you'll hear me on the air. I think I'm filling in for both Law and Leslie for a couple days.
So being a manager was not something that you had thought about doing before, just coming organically, or?
It's something that I thought about doing, and that's why, I don't know, I feel like it was great that the stars kind of aligned, because I was like hearing his music and, he would play me like demos, and it just kind of evolved into that. He needed somebody to help him out with stuff, and I was like, cool, I'll do that, and the only bands I'd managed really were like the bands that I was in.
Sure.
I would give advice to like local musicians here, like if they needed or if they had questions that I could hopefully help with. But it just kind of evolved into that. And then it just I think it kind of made sense too, because I did have like varied experience, like being a musician, being in radio, being a publicist, and the management role is kind of all encompassing, So I was like, yeah, that would be fun. Let's try it.
I would think too. I mean, if I was a musician and someone like you, maybe it's just an assumption, but you've listened to a lot of music. You've got a lot of opinions on music. If somebody stands out to you through all of that, that's sort of special, I would say. Yeah.
And what I say is like, obviously there's so much music and there's so many ways to discover new music these days versus like 20 years ago. There's a lot of good musicians but it's like the amount of musicians where you like see them and you're like, all the pieces are there. Like this could be something is like, I feel like few,
yeah.
And when I see that, like, I feel like I know it, but it's hard like finding those. Cause there's a lot of amazing musicians, like amazing music. And you know what, there's a lot of amazing musicians that are great and have all the pieces there and it just never happens for them.
Sure.
And I hate that.
Well, I tell my wife too, I'm like, she's like, well, how did they get there? I'm like, well, first of all, they're stable at some level. They're more stable than the other artists.
Yeah.
Because like there's a lot to maintain, to keep up a schedule, to keep putting out material, to like make your stuff on time where people don't hate you.
Yeah.
There's a lot that has nothing to do with being a good singer, performer, writer. And I had Joshua Ray and I'm just like, man, you listen to one of those songs, it's like everything is there, but then you meet him and it's like everything's there, So
I mean, there's like no formula. I have like musicians reaching out to me all the time being like, what's the advice you'd give a musician? And I'm like, that is such a broad question. I don't know, because there's no formula to it. You look at like one musician and they took this path, and one musician, they took this path, and they're both like, they both made it.
Sure.
And I don't know. There's literally no path, and it's not based solely on talent. It's not based solely on luck, and it's not based solely on work ethic. It's based on like all three of those things.
Yeah, it's so nebulous, but so I guess when you see it, you kind of you're like, that's it. I can't even tell you why. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you have any other performers that you represent, or?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Yeah, not right now. Just focusing on Abraham.
Is that normal?
Yeah, it depends. Like I know some really big managers actually that have one client that are making a great living off that one client,
Sure.
And I know other managers who take on 10 different clients, which for me, that's not a path that I would want to do or could do, because I feel like you might be spreading yourself too thin, but they make it work.
Right. It's like the fact that you're hyper focused on one artist is probably great for him.
Yeah.
So, how do you juggle it all? I mean, how do you balance like being on the air. And I mean, are you still, well, let me back up. Are you still looking for other, like if somebody else struck you, do you think you would have the capacity?
I mean, I'm definitely open to working with other artists. It would just need to be the right one. And I feel so grateful that like Abraham and I have been on this journey since, I told you, I reached out to him and he didn't have any recordings literally since I feel like the beginning. Like he was doing it, of course, before we met, but it's been such a valuable experience to like do it with a friend and someone who is, our careers have kind of like in that world have kind of been on a parallel trajectory where in the very beginning we were just kind of like all figuring it out. We had no idea what we were doing, and I feel grateful that I was able to do that with somebody and be on that parallel path with them and still be with them 6 years later or 7 years later. Which can also be rare in the music industry. You see artists go through managers.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
Crazy.
Well, I mean, again, he'd be silly. Like you get all this attention, and you've got I don't know what connections you have necessarily from the show, but you seem to have a path figured out at some level with him. Like his career has. I mean, I've seen it go up.
Yeah, I mean, it works both ways. He's so good about. He has got great relationships too, and networking, and I think that's where our strengths kind of like meet and,
This is Dallas Famous. Let's talk a little bit about Dallas, the music scene, how it is like, first of all, like, how do you see it compared to the national scene?
Well, I can tell you so when I moved here in 2014, I was like, I don't know. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm moving to Texas. I'm moving to Dallas. Like I didn't know anything about Dallas. I'd had layovers in the airport, that's it. And then I'd been to Austin for like South by. Right. And when I moved here, I was so pleasantly surprised by the music scene and the art scene. And I feel like I moved here at the right time because I would find myself down here in Deep Ellum. And it was before Deep Ellum kind of went through that like big transition of, it's crazy now, like walking down the sidewalk and being like this on Friday, Saturday nights. I could still find parking. So I found I didn't know anybody in here at all when I moved here. So I found myself in Deep Ellum 2-3 nights a week watching shows and trying to find my crowd. And so pleasantly surprised by the music scene. I was like, wow, there's so much talent here. Like so much talent. Yeah. And there's places for them to play and everybody's so supportive of one another and the promoters are so supportive of bands and, like it's a cool scene. It's cool. It's different from other places I've lived, but like in all really good ways, Yeah,
it's interesting though. 'Cause like, again, I've lived in other places too. I mean, it's less of a secret than it was because there's artists that are breaking out, but it still feels like you could go to a show with somebody huge here and there's nobody there because like, they don't know about it, or it's like the audiences here are a little bit strange to me. Yeah,
the audiences here I've never really been able to figure out, especially when it comes to like nationally touring bands. Because sometimes you go to shows and I'll see a band, play a venue and the venue's like half full. But I know they're selling out shows in like other major markets. And
I'm looking, it's like Austin and Oklahoma are like bookend to here. And like they're sold out in both those cities. And here it's like, where is everybody? It's like smaller venue. It blows my mind.
It is nice though to know, and I've experienced this firsthand, like the artist that KXT is playing, because you hear from people like, oh, radio's dead. And it's like, it's actually not. If you look at like radio, not to get too into the weeds, but like people are still listening. You can see that from ratings and you can see that from how many people are listening per week. And to see a direct correlation between the bands that KXT plays, like new artists that KXT plays and people at those shows, and to have like, radio promoters at record labels say things like, that they played this market the other night and like, not even half the people were there at this show that, KXT's been plugging and like playing the record and stuff. I'm like, great. That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's like, again, when I started, it was like the Future Islands and then they came to Longhorn and I got to shoot them and I'm like, these guys are amazing. Like, I've never heard of it. Oh, we got a fly buddy in here with us. I mean, it's just, it's interesting how the audience is here. But again, how do you, like, maybe local talent, like how do you see us stacking up against other areas, other cities, other states?
Great. I mean, Yeah, I mean, as far as like major cities that I've lived in or like really experienced the music scene there, it's like the Bay Area and Philly, you know, and here it's different. It's just as thriving. It's just as like great. There's just as many venues and cool clubs and cool bands, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Bay Area. I mean, I do get sad sometimes because I'm a deadhead and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I wish one of those jam bands would come here
Oh,
eventually.
Yeah.
But they don't.
Well, the Dead and Co. came and played.
Yeah.
Like American
a few
Airlines
times.
Center?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They played about 3 shows here.
Okay.
But that's Dead and Company.
Yeah.
It's, it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
Although I did see Bruce Hornsby play with them a few times.
Oh, you
So,
did?
yeah,
Oh, that's cool. He
yeah.
told me this, not to go off on a tangent, but
Please.
he told me this crazy story of like anybody kind of like in the music industry knows, like, doesn't matter who you are. You could be somebody's manager. You could be like head of the record label, whatever. If it's a show and it's like a exclusive, like big show, if you're not on that guest list, you're going to have to jump through hoops. You can't just say to the door person doesn't know.
Sure.
He or she doesn't care. Like, cool, you're their manager. You're not on the list. Like, you could be lying, like whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bruce told me this story once about how he shows up at the venue for a Dead show. He was actually playing and he couldn't get a hold of, I think, probably the tour manager. He couldn't go in the back way. So he comes up to the front and he's saying that he's supposed to go on stage in like a few minutes and they wouldn't let him into like his own show. And he's like, that's my band playing.
Oh,
And they like
no.
wouldn't let him in. I just found that
is
like so funny.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Actually, that like that's probably one of the coolest things about the job, right? Is that you can just get into all these shows and see these bands firsthand live. Let me ask you this: like, so because of who you are in the city, is that something that people come up to you? They try to shove you their music. Like, how does that go?
You're giving me too much credit. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Like local artists send me their stuff and, want feedback or, which I'm always happy to give or just chat,
Sure.
I love doing that,
Well, this is what makes Dallas cool. I mean, like I do think of you as that. For if you had a band, it's like, oh my God, if Amy Miller likes my stuff, like I might get on the radio, like I may be
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, well, but it's like you're accessible in a lot of ways. I mean, not that people just pick up a phone, but
Yeah, I
like,
try and be, for sure.
So that's
Like, why not,
yeah, totally. What do you have going next? I mean, what's your next stage, as it were?
Well, Abraham is working on his next album right now. So that's really exciting. He just released a new song that's incredible. And yeah, just gearing up for that, for next year. And I'm going on the road with him a little bit in October,
Fun.
Which will be fun. And yeah, we've got a show in Austin, kind of around ACL, and then doing some East Coast dates and
Right.
yeah, staying busy.
What? So, like, I always hear that there used to be labels here. Are we going to ever see Dallas kind of like, not Nashville, but like where, because it seems like the theme is you get some success and you leave Dallas or Fort Worth or whatever. Like, are we ever going to not be that? Can you see a future? Is there a path?
Yeah, artists just need to stay here and not think that it's based on where you live. Where you live doesn't matter. Look people are like, the Dallas Fort Worth scene, like, got put on the national radar, or again, I mean, of course, there's been artists that have come out of here that have been super successful, but like Leon blew up and he was living in Fort Worth. It doesn't matter where you live.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. Like, people think like, oh, this is the formula. Like, this is the formula. I'm going to get to the next stage by moving to LA. And it's like, do you know how many bands and well-known bands live in LA?
Yeah.
Like,
No, I tell people that because I used to live there, and I'm like, but they're like, what should I do to get to LA? I'm like, you should not go to LA.
yeah,
Like,
you're going to
stay
pay
here.
more to live there. You're going to
Yeah.
be one in 100 bands that are signed
Yeah.
to like national record labels who are all kind of doing the same stuff.
Yeah,
and
exactly. I mean, I remember when I first moved there, it's like, I was trying to date, and it's like, oh, you're in a band, and like within 6 months, like, what label are you with? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm just trying to have a date.
Yeah.
No, but I would love to see, some, like, I mean, we have our local, like, record labels, but I would love to see some nationals come, and I'd like to think that, like, you could play a show and somebody might be there to sign you, know. Signing bands is not what it used to be, but you know what I mean,
Yeah, it's interesting. I kind of like, and I can't throw out any names right now, but I feel like within the last like month, I've kind of gone down these rabbit holes and discovered there's like some people in the music world here doing some like huge things, like nationally, like whether it's like Grammy Award winning producers or like, you know, engineers or studio musicians that don't really get talked about. And, you know, and that's okay. That's totally okay. They're doing their own thing. But yeah, I'm always like kind of coming across these like people that I had never heard. I'm like, how come I've never heard about this person?
I mean, like I don't write as much for the Observer, but I'm always looking for stories to either pass along or whatever. And I'm always like, I'll open up Facebook and I'm like, well, this guy's here, like this, like you're saying, like I'm like, I did not know.
Yeah,
you know, might have been in the room with them, you might have been at a show, and you're like, oh, they're doing this. It's so. That's what I'm saying. Like Dallas is so interesting, like that. And I mean, maybe it's better because you can still go to shows and see these artists, and you're not like waiting around the block to get in.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I do love it here. I plan on leaving, and I just like the other thing is every few weeks I see some band that like everybody knows about that I'm like, huh, like, how where did they come from? You know,
yeah.
Like I don't know what that is. Anyway. So, okay. Well, I mean, is there anything else that we missed that you want to talk about, mention?
I don't think so.
Like, was ever like a show that you went to and it was like this, who is this band? And then it turns out that they blew up. Like you like had your finger on the pulse there.
Oh man, that's a really good question. That might take some thought that we didn't want to be dead air right for like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like kind of touring bands that, you know, I don't know much about that. Like I'll hear like one song on KXT and I'll be like, oh, that's a cool vibe. And then I'll like go see them like, oh man, this is like really cool. The one, actually he was on this show. The one band here locally that I'm super excited about and I love seeing him live is Slow Joy.
Oh yeah, Esteban.
Just so talented, like super talented songwriter, but also just you see him live. Like I saw him play Club Dada, I think last time, and it was just like you're looking around and you're like, oh my god, so few artists can make a crowd react like this. Like everybody's just jumping up and down, and it's like a big party, and then like the songs are hitting hard because he's like been promoting them well online, and like just like. Yeah, it was just like such a fun show.
I want him to be like one of the next big Dallas things. I think he's working towards it. And he's another one where you see him in other cities. It's like, oh, people are going. They're getting it. Like,
yeah, he's got something for sure.
Building that following. Like he's I guess if you're a young band, you want to figure it out. Like he's somebody you should study because. But again, like maybe it won't work for you the way he's doing it because it's different for everybody.
Yeah, it is. It's different for everyone, you know. And yeah, you just never know. Yeah. All
right. Well, hey, Amy, thanks for taking the time. We definitely need to have Abraham on next. When I saw him at Leon's show in Fort Worth, like I shook hands and then he's like, let's do it.
Nice.
And I just haven't.
Okay.
Got to turn around, get that going, but we'll do that.
Yeah, let's connect about that.
Yeah. Thanks for coming down. And I know if there's a band out there, like any advice or how they can get on the radio or just
you can, for KXT, you can get submit your music, kxt.org/submissions. Everything gets listened to.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
do you have interns doing that or the DJ? Who's doing that?
I think it's I'm like so much more hands off with the station than I used to be. But yeah, it's the programming staff, Waffles, who hosts the local show. I know she listens to everything. And I guess my one piece of advice is a lot of artists think that like local press and local radio is kind of like they don't know how to go about getting it. They think it's just like a bigger world than it is, but it's just like just reach out. Yeah. Like if you're good, if you're a solid musician, there's no reason why KXT or KNON or The Observer or any of these other outlets won't be interested in what you're doing. So just like don't be afraid to reach out and pitch yourself and make your pitch short and sweet. Add a little link to listen, and don't be afraid to do that yourself because it's totally possible.
Absolutely. What I learned with The Observer is if you're just a band and just like, here, we're a band, you have to like kind of give them the story a little bit. Like this is the angle. Like this is why you should cover us. So,
and I tell people, make your pitch short and sweet. 5 sentences is fine. Say who you are, where you're from, what you have going on. If you have an album coming out, release date for that. If you have a show coming up, show date for that. Link for them to stream the music. Thanks.
That is good advice.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid. If you've got something, send it in.
Yeah.
But Amy might be too busy with Abraham to hear it personally, but somebody will hear
I'll
it.
listen. Send it over to me.
All right. Oh, okay, cool. Well, Amy, thanks for coming down.
Yeah,
and,
thank you for having me. This is cool.
Awesome. I'd like to thank my guest, Amy Miller. You can check her out on KXT. Thank you to the Deep Ellum Community Center for letting us record here. Theme song, Unstoppable by Celine Narala, and the outro is The Place to Be by Electric Ants. Thanks again to the Mullen & Mullen Music Project for their support. Like, subscribe, and share the podcast, and we'll see you next week.